Hey, and what is going on, everybody at Scion Life? Back here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 underrated JDM cars. The main reason for me making this video is that I want to bring more attention to these cars because I feel like they deserve a lot more love than what they currently get, both in the market and in the car community itself. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first car on this list that we're going to be talking about is the Toyota Corolla AE92, which in the US it was the Corolla Sport GTS Coupe. This was made from 1987 to 1992. And it was in 1994 whenever production ended in Australia. With this car you get a front-wheel drive setup, which is great for handling both in canyons and on the track, and it also came with a beautiful 4AGE. But the 4AGE in this car came in two variations. There was a big port variation, which had 118 horsepower, and then the better small port variation, which came with 135 horsepower. Now, the small port had stronger and lighter internals, which made this motor and this trim more likely for what you're going to use for boost and for bigger power numbers on the AE92 Corolla. The only model that came out in the US, unfortunately, with the 4AGE was the GTS Sport trim. And so if you are looking into this car, into getting a AE92 Corolla, I would really trim down your search for just the GTS Sport trims. Now, whenever this car, was released, it was the most powerful 1.6 liter NA motor in Australia. Now, back in the late 80s, early 90s, 135 was a good amount of power, and today it still is. Don't let that number fool you. As you can probably see from these videos, it actually puts down a lot more than what it sounds like it does. And especially with this front-wheel drive setup, it allows it to really take this power onto the track and really take full advantage of it. So the main pros for this car, why I think it's really underrated, is first off, I've already mentioned the exceptional handling, and the 4AGE is one of the greatest and most legendary motors that Toyota has ever made. The 4AGE is really a powerhouse, especially in older Toyotas, and I really think this is a steal in the current market, and you're not going to see a lot of people driving these today. And coming up second on this list, we have the Mach3 Supra, which was made from the 1988 to 1993 model years, which is similar to the production years of the AE92 Corolla that I mentioned just previously. So with this car, you get a rear-wheel drive drivetrain that was inherited from its Celica predecessor. And before this, the Toyota Celica was really a great car, especially in the 80s. A lot of people liked them. And so whenever the Mach3 Supra came out, it was a big deal at the time. Now, this car did come in 3 motors. The main 2 that I'm talking about is going to be naturally the 1JZ GTE motor and a little bit of the 7M GEI6. Now, mostly I will be talking about the 1JZ whenever I mention my later points, but the 7M GE is also still a good motor. Now, the main reason for me putting this car on the list is its huge modding potential. It is a very great and capable engine from Yamaha and Toyota. The 1JZ can make a lot of power even on stock internals. It can make upwards of, I think, around 600 wheel, which is a ton, especially in a car like this. It's going to be an old car, so it's going to be lighter. It's going to have less, electronics and heavy stuff to weigh it down. Now, this is going to be a cheap alternative to a 2JZ or a Mach3 Supra. The reason is the 2JZ, it can spoil turbos a little bit better and the internals are a little bit stronger, yes, but the 1JZ, I feel like for the price, is way better for your money than what you get with the 2JZ. And now coming in at number 3 on the list, we have the Nissan 300ZX, which was made from 1984 until 1996. This is the successor to the Datsun Fairlady 280Z that we all know and love, and it came in two different engines. It came in a VG30DE, which is a NA V6, naturally aspirated, and then it also came in the much better VG30DE TT, which is the twin turbo model. Now, the main one I'm going to be talking about here is the twin turbo model, simply because it already comes from factory with boost, so it's more set up to handle bigger power setups. Now, you can say all you want about the looks of this car. They may be a little controversial. Personally, I love the way the 300ZX looks. I love the look of 80s and 90s sports cars simply because they all have that wedge-shaped design. They're kind of out there with, maybe some side parts or some different headlight designs, but personally, I really like it. If you don't, I do understand, but the main thing here is going to be the motor. So the VG30 is very, very good for modding on a budget. Because the car is so cheap and it's such a practical, reliable, and healthy motor, you can really pump a lot of power into it. And truly, it's undervalued in today's market. It's kind of overshadowed by the 2JZ and the RB26, and those prices are just way up into the stratosphere. And so I think personally, with the 1JZ before that I mentioned earlier and this VG30 DETT, I feel like you're getting way more bang for your buck here. And coming in as the fourth car on this list, we are going to be talking about the Toyota MR2 Spider, which, as you guys know, is going to be the third generation, the W30 generation, which was made from 2000 until 2007. This was the final generation of the MR2, and it came in a very capable 1ZZ FE motor. Now, this is a beautiful motor. It's great, especially for tracking, for tuging, for canyon runs, for back roads. It's really a great balance motor, and since it's right behind you and it's in the middle of the car is extremely balanced and it handles super, super well if you are an experienced driver. The reason I say if you're an experienced driver is because you do have to beware of the snap oversteer. Some of you may know about this, but a lot of people have met their fate and totaled their cars due to the snap oversteer. So what happens in snap oversteer? So this is whenever you're going into a corner and you have your foot down on the throttle and you maybe brake too late or you get on the power too early, and so you take your foot off of the throttle and you spin out and you bend yourself into a tree, you total your car, and it's just not a good day for anybody. So while this is a very good handling car and it's a great car, I wouldn't recommend it for first time sports car or first time drivers simply because of this and how dangerous it can be. It really is Viper level scary if you cannot handle yourself in it. And lastly, coming in as the fifth car on this list, we have the Mazda RX-7 FB generation. Now, this car was made from 1978 to 1985, but in this video, I'm going to be talking more about the Series 2, which was made from 1980 until 1985. So with this car, you can option it in a 1.1 liter 12A turbo Wankel, which is by far above and beyond the best motor for this car. First off, you get a rotary, and it just makes that beautiful Dorito sound that we all know and love. So in my opinion, this car is really an undervalued classic in today's market. It's a true relic of JDM history, and it shows you the humble beginnings of Mazda leading up to making the legendary FD. And so it's just a really beautiful car, and it's a really great piece of history. And in today's market, you can find them, especially in the US market, you can find them for, very low numbers, somewhere around the 10 grand range for a clean one. Yeah, you can talk about reliability. It's a rotary, it's an early rotary, But, you know, for a car that looks this beautiful and sounds this awesome, I feel like you have to get this car if you can. So my one recommendation for this car is going to be, if you do like this car, I would pick one up before prices explode like we've seen recently with Datsun Fairladies, especially the 240Z. The reason I say this is because a lot of JDM classics, like very early JDM cars from the 70s and early 80s, they're really starting to pick up in value here lately. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before, you know, collectors and people start finding these and they start making builds and it starts getting more exposure. And so I just want to go ahead and bring attention to this car beforehand so that if you do want one, you can get one before the prices go up tremendously. Alright guys, and that is going to do it for my 5 underrated JDM car list. I really hope I was able to bring some attention to these cars, you know, not only to you guys, but to people you may know. You know, you can talk about it, kind of spread awareness, because I feel like in the market and in the car community, a lot of these cars are really, really underrated and undervalued. Also, guys, I'm using a new mic. I hope that the audio is, you know, a bit better than what it was. If it is better, you know, let me know down in the comments below if you like this audio. But as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you did enjoy the video. Be sure to leave a like if you did. And if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and following along for more videos like this one. But for now, this is Scion Life signing out.